When the HOA rejected my well application with a smug, "denied forever," they didn't know who they were messing with. I'm a construction worker with a decade of digging under my belt, and if you push someone who knows how to break ground, you'd better ensure your own foundation is rock solid. Their $1 million community pool, the pride of Maplewood Estates, was built on a web of lies. So, I did what any reasonable neighbor would do: legally drained every drop of that pool to fill my pond, using their own rules against them. It was all perfectly legal, and they couldn't lift a finger to stop me. This is the story of how I brought down my HOA, exposing their corruption and reclaiming my dream. Was it justice, or did I spark a war I can't win? You decide. For 2 years, my wife, Laura, and I hunted for the perfect home. When we found the lakefront lot in Maplewood Estates, it felt like fate. 3/4 of an acre with Crystal Lake shimmering at its edge, ancient oaks casting natural shade, and enough space for the eco-friendly house we dreamed of since our wedding. Tucked at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, it offered privacy within a pristine community. As a construction worker, I could spot prime land, and this was gold-perfect soil, flood-proof elevation, and a natural spring begging for a water well. Maplewood itself screamed wealth. Lawns trimmed to exactly 2.75 inches, mailboxes painted identical hunter green, and a community center boasting a $1 million pool that rivaled a 5-star resort. The pool stretched 50 feet long, its crystal water glowing under LED lights, flanked by a hot tub, a bar, and gardens that probably cost more than my truck. Our first taste of the HOA came at a mandatory welcome meeting with Margaret Pierce, the president. In her early 50s, Margaret dressed like she was perpetually headed to a corporate boardroom, her tight smile never quite reaching her eyes. "Welcome to Maplewood Estates," she said, her voice polished but cold. "Our guidelines ensure harmony and protect property values." She handed us a binder stuffed with rules: paint colors, trash can placement, you name it. "Follow the process, and we'll all get along," she added, her tone hinting at consequences for those who didn't. Laura and I envisioned a sustainable paradise: solar panels, a vegetable garden, and a water well. The well wasn't just about saving $200 a month on bills. It was about control, knowing our water was clean and ours. I'd done my homework: county health codes, environmental studies, geological surveys proving our lot sat on a prime aquifer. With my construction experience, the permitting process felt like a slam dunk. I submitted detailed plans, hired a surveyor, and even got an environmental report showing minimal impact. Neighbors, like the Thompsons next door, were intrigued, some even inspired to try sustainable projects themselves. After submitting, we waited 3 weeks, confident our thoroughness would win quick approval. Then came the certified letter on a crisp September morning. "Application denied. Violation of aesthetic standards." Laura and I read it 3 times, baffled. Aesthetic standards for an underground well with a tiny, landscapable wellhead? I called Margaret immediately. "There's been a mistake," I said. Her voice was ice. "No mistake, Mr. Carter. The board's decision is final." When I pressed for specifics, she repeated herself and hung up. That night, Laura, a former paralegal, pored over the HOA binder. We found rules on fence heights, paint shades, even mailbox placement, but nothing about wells. Margaret had lied. This wasn't a mistake, it was deliberate. Why was she so hell-bent on stopping us? Was she hiding something bigger? Determined to resolve this like professionals, I dressed up and drove to Margaret's mansion, a colonial fortress with a circular driveway designed to intimidate. Her office was a shrine to her ego awards, certificates, photos with local bigwigs. I showed her the bylaws, proving no aesthetic rules applied to wells. Her fake smile vanished, replaced by a steely glare. "Protecting Maplewood's character takes more than rules, Mr. Carter. It takes judgment." When I mentioned other neighborhoods with wells, she hinted darkly that some residents don't fit in and might be happier elsewhere. She promised a board review, but urged patience. Driving home, I felt a chill. Laura picked up on it too. "She's not approving anything," she said. "This is personal." That evening, Margaret called an emergency board meeting at 8 p.m., giving just hours' notice to ensure only her allies attended. By midnight, I got a notice. The board had passed new subsurface infrastructure guidelines banning wells for visual harmony. They'd crafted, debated, and enacted these rules in under 4 hours. No community input allowed. I spent 2 weeks revising our application, hiring architects, getting neighbor endorsements, and spending $1,200 on studies. Our 40-page submission addressed every new rule. Surely, this would prove our commitment. 2 weeks later, another rejection arrived with 3 fresh regulations, a $3,000 groundwater study, a multi-agency review, and a utility mapping plan. Margaret was playing a game pile on requirements until we broke. Neighbors started noticing. The Thompsons sympathized, but others avoided us, fearing Margaret's wrath. The stress was crushing. We'd sunk thousands into applications, and Laura flinched at every mailbox check. One night, staring at another rejection, I wondered if this was about more than a well. Laura agreed. "She's targeting us for a reason," she said. That night, she began digging into Margaret's past, determined to uncover her true agenda. Margaret soon announced a special meeting to address disruptive resident behavior. The community center was packed, the air tense. Margaret's presentation was a masterclass in manipulation slides of ruined neighborhoods, photos of industrial well sites that had nothing to do with our project. "Certain residents threaten our values," she said, never naming us, but making it clear. The crowd ate it up, gasping at her scare tactics. My 2-minute rebuttal was cut short by her interruptions. The meeting ended with a vote endorsing her authority to reject us. Overnight, we became pariahs. Neighbors avoided eye contact, kids were yanked indoors when we passed, and our barbecue invite was revoked. Laura started shopping in the next town to escape the whispers. Then came the harassment. $75 fines for grass 0.2 inches too tall, $150 for a faded mailbox, $200 for non-compliant Christmas lights. Weekly violation notices piled up, totaling $2,400 in 6 weeks. I lost sleep, and Laura cried daily. "Maybe we should sell," I said, defeated. But Laura's fire reignited. "No way we give her that. I'm finding out what she's hiding." Laura's paralegal skills shone. She scoured public records and found Margaret was a real estate investor tied to her brother-in-law, Victor Pierce, whose company, Pierce Luxury Builds, profited from lakefront developments. They'd forced 7 Maplewood families to sell cheap, buying through shell companies for condos that netted millions. Our lot was the final piece for their next project. Laura's friend, Emily, overheard Margaret on a call. "He's cracking. The fines and isolation are working. Victor needs that lot by spring." Emily recorded it, proof of their scheme. I turned to the land. Using a metal detector and ground-penetrating radar, I found an undocumented 12-inch PVC pipe running from the pool across our lot illegal, with no easements or permits. It passed right under our well site, explaining Margaret's panic. The pipe, a $40,000 system, was a cost-cutting shortcut for pool drainage. If we dug, we'd expose it. But wells faced HOA hurdles. Then I found a loophole. Decorative ponds needed only county approval, no HOA veto. I applied for a pond exactly over the pipe, submitting flawless plans. Margaret approved it in 48 hours, gloating to Laura about our reasonable shift. She thought she'd won. Excavation began with Jim Larson, a veteran contractor. Neighbors watched, intrigued, as the pond took shape. I timed the dig for a Saturday, right before the community barbecue. At 10:15 a.m., the excavator hit the pipe. A pristine, massive drainage line was exposed, sparking murmurs. Margaret rushed over, pale. "It's permitted," she stammered, but couldn't produce proof. Jim confirmed it was unmapped and illegal. At the barbecue, residents grilled her. Victor's arrival was her downfall admitted to creative routing, caught on camera. Laura presented her evidence: Margaret's harassment, forced sales, and fraud. The crowd turned. Margaret faced a no-confidence vote, and the county launched an investigation. 3 months later, Margaret was arrested for fraud and trespassing, sentenced to 18 months, and ordered to pay restitution. Victor's company collapsed under lawsuits. Our pond became a community gem, and Laura, now HOA treasurer, ensured transparency. Our well was approved, and a plaque by the pond reads, "Margaret's Pool, under new management." Justice came not from courts, but from watching a bully fall into her own trap. Was it worth it? Or did I ignite a feud I can't control? What would you have done?